The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, East Pierce Fire and Rescue, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 34562. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new vehicle. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 open-ended tow hooks on the passenger and driver's side. Moving up onto the face, passenger side of the bumper is where you'll find dual air horns. Just inside of that location, you'll find 2 closed tow hooks. Inside of that location, you'll find your electronic speaker and PA system. Let's move now to the very far side of the driver's area where you'll find a mechanical siren. Just above that mechanical siren on the bumper extension in the very center is where you'll find your tubbed hose storage. And then as we move just to the right in the image is where you'll find your 1.5" swivel discharge. Moving up onto the body, you'll find on the outer edges a marker clearance light. Just inside of that location, your turn indicator and headlights. Headlights will be low and high beam. The high beam is on the inside. Up above that, you'll find emergency warning lights. 3 windshield wipers across your one-piece seamless windshield. And on the outer edges, you'll have mirrors housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 clearance lights, and just above that on the roof is where you'll find your forward-facing brow light. As we move to the roof is where you'll find your emergency warning light bar, and directly in the center of that emergency warning light bar is where you'll find your forward-facing opticom. Let's take a look at some of the close-ups that we just talked about. First, starting with the notched area on the bumper extension for your hose, and then also moving up to the tubbed storage location, you can see dry deck material just inside. Let's move now to the cab of the vehicle. We'll talk a little bit about the exterior, first starting on the driver's side. The bumper extension area, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, and as we move to the base of each door is where you'll find your perimeter lighting. Moving just up from this location at the rear section is where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. And as we move back up toward the headlight structure, turn indicator is where you'll find your clearance light. Let's move now to the doors where you'll find your latch and keyed handle, which you can utilize a gloved hand to gain access. You'll also find right next to that the grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. As we move now to the 2 doors on the exterior, first you'll find at the rear of the cab, you'll find an additional storage location. D handle gains access, and then directly behind the driver's seat, D handle gains access into this compartment. As we move to the very top section, you'll find a side-facing scene light, and then all the way to the rear of the cab is where you'll find your LED water level indicator. Let's take a look at the rear section of the cab with the compartment door in the open position. You can see 2 adjustable shelves and LED lighting. Let's move now to the midsection of your pumper. We'll first start at the crosslay section, starting in the upper left-hand corner. There are 3 crosslays, 2 which are plumbed, the number 1 and number 2 crosslay, and then you also have a dead lay at the rear section, indicating that it is not pre-plumbed. We also have a warning indicator next to that, indicating that entanglement hazard is possible because of those lines coming from a loft. As we move to the very top section in the crosslay area, you'll find backboard storage location. Let's move now just to the right of this location. We'll talk about some of the gauges in the upper right-hand corner, first starting with your water level gauge. That is the blue indicator. And as we move down, you'll find the green module. This is going to be your foam A tank. As we move just to the right, you'll find your master pump intake gauge. And then just to the right of it, you'll find your master discharge pump. In between the 2 of those, you'll find the vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. They are currently plugged and are for utilizing for testing purposes. Let's move just down from this location to the red module on your left-hand side, which is your Husky foam system. There's an on and off button in the upper left-hand corner, system on-off in green. Just beneath that, you'll find the foam percentage, which will be a digital readout. Beneath that, you'll find 2 gray buttons, increase or decrease. Those are your selections. And then as we move to the right, you'll find a prime button and then also a system status LED lights. As we move back to the top of the modules where you'll find your operating instructions 1 through 4, specifically number 4 will address the system status lights. Let's move just to the right of this location where you're going to find your master stream device. It's going to be the Acron label here indicating a deploy and stow, and then also a stream, whether you choose straight stream or fog stream. This will allow you to move the nozzle right to left and then also raise and lower. Once again, that's for your master stream device. Let's move further to the right where we'll find your pressure throttle governor. This is an FRC pressure throttle governor. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll find a digital readout for your pump discharge. Just beneath that, a digital readout for your pump intake. And down at the very bottom, you'll find in the black section, this is going to be your RPMs, which is also a digital readout. Beneath the RPMs, you'll find a check engine and a stop engine. Yellow will be the check engine and red would be a stop engine. Zoom back up to the top into the gray area where you'll find 2 buttons. First, red, idle, moves your pumper back to the idle position. And then also in the center, you'll find a throttle ready, indicating that you're okay to engage the throttle. To the right, if you choose to use presets, this would be the button you would push for utilizing those presets. And then we have a mode button in blue, which allows you to scroll through either pressure mode or RPM mode. To the right, you'll find the yellow increase or decrease buttons. As we move back down, you'll also find a silence button, which is gray, allowing you to silence any audible alarms that may be sounding. To the right, in the blue area, you'll find a menu button, allowing you to scroll through the various menu functions. And then to the right, we have engine diagnostic information. As we move back up to the very center area, a little difficult to see in this image, this is a digital readout indicating their menu. Let's move back over to the right-hand side where we'll find a few switches here. First, with the panel lights, we'll light the panel lights in this area. You also have an OK to pump. You should get that green indicator also with the throttle ready. As we move down, you'll find the driver's side flood and passenger side flood light. And down at the very bottom, you'll find a red air horn button. Let's move just down to the left-hand side underneath the crosslay area where you'll find the number 1 crosslay. It is water and foam capable. You can see on the right-hand side, the lever has the water and also foam red indicator. Number 2 is also water and foam capable. And as we move down further from that location, you'll find the black Pierce label. This is your minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in a few moments. Across the bottom, you'll find all your color-coded and labeled discharge drains, including the driver rear discharge. It is also foam capable. And as we move to the upper right, you'll find an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. To the right is where you'll find your tank fill. As we move further to the right, you're going to find your recirculating line and your engine cooler. Those are both twist, not pull. As we move down, you'll find your fire pump primer. It is a push to prime air prime. There are instructions for at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. As we move further down, you'll find your tank to pump, and then all the way to the very far right, you'll find your manual pump shift. Let's move just downward from this position and talk a little bit about the electric valves here. You have 2 Acron electric valves for your large diameter passenger side discharge and also for your deluge discharge. The open and close is the red and green button in the lower portion of the electric valve. In the upper left, you'll find your auto charge battery charging indicator. And then just to the right, you'll find a warning label indicating that pressure hazard. Be cautious when opening caps that may be under pressure. You do have a 30 amp auto eject plug with a green indicator that the power is on. We also have 2 2.5 inch discharges on this side, number 1 and number 3. And then also this warning label here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after they receive proper training. The Pierce logo American Flag Eagle is your large diameter pump intake. As we move to the right, you'll find a warning label here that not riding on the side of the apparatus. Let's move down now to the discharge drains. These are for crosslays 1, 2, and also 3. They're clearly color-coded and labeled. Once again, that warning label that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment. Just beneath that sticker, you'll find the driver's side auxiliary inlet. It is a 2.5 inch female inlet. Let's move to the right where you'll find this red placard. It is Watrous type of pump, CSU, and it is a 1,500 GPM pump.
To the right, this is our foam area, so we have a warning label here: do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Just beneath that, you'll find your 2-position draft or tank for your foam system, and then also your minimum operation maintenance schedule on the far left. We'll talk a little bit about what's behind the pan door here, but let's go back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule. It's the black placard indicating the 150, 200, and 250 psi test pressures. On the left, you'll find the associated GPM, and on the right, you'll find the associated RPM at test pressures. You also have a governed speed of 2,130 miles an hour. Let's move back to that red placard. Once again, model CSU, capacity 1,500 GPM. Let's go back to the pan door. We'll see inside, you'll find the yellow handle that coincides with the placard on the left-hand side for foam fill operations, and for normal operations, just remain in the position it currently is in. Let's move just underneath the side running board, and that's where you're going to find the foam pump intake drain and the foam pump discharge drain. Quick look here at the side of the vehicle. We'll start now with the body and identify a few items within this area. Let's first start with the compartment where the wheel chocks are. It would be just in front of the front axle. Let's go ahead and look inside this compartment first. Starting on the left lower portion, you'll find 2 pull-out trays. A lower portion, the black or gray on the right-hand side, allows you to release the mechanism. As we move to the very top section, we'll identify a few items at the top. First, starting on the left with your shoreline outlet, it's a 20 amp, and this will be when you're plugged into shore power, this outlet will be active. On the very roof of the compartment is where you'll find your battery charging system. Moving downward from that, you'll find the S1 breaker panel. You can see the associated breakers located within that panel. That's for when you're plugged into shore power. Just beneath that, you'll find the box labeled torque. This is going to be your timer for your ventilation system. And then to the right, you'll find your air compressor. This is for maintaining brake pressure. Let's take a quick look at the S1. You can see the breakers labeled 2 through 8 and 1 through 7. And then as we look to the actual air compressor, you do have a compressor on-off switch located next to the air compressor. As we move just in front of and rear of the rear axle is where you'll find Scba bottle storage with retaining straps. You'll also find directly over the axle a side-facing emergency warning light, additional Scba with strap inside for retaining the bottle. And then as we move to the right, you'll find your fill locations for your ultra low sulfur diesel and also your DEF fill location. As we move to the very top, you'll find when plugged into shore power, this outlet will be active. Let's go back to the Scba area and also the diesel fill location. First, the silver cap is your ultra low sulfur diesel. As we move upward from this location, you'll find the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Let's move from this location and view a few more of the compartments. First, starting at the very rear section, you'll find a pull-out tray at the very bottom, adjustable shelves, LED lighting, and then also at the very top section is where you'll find that shoreline power outlet. Got a close-up here of that now. Let's go ahead and move around now to the rear of the truck, identify a few items here. At the very base, underneath the tailboard, is where you're going to find your perimeter lighting rear facing. Directly in the center, you'll find a attachment point. And then as we move to the outer edges, passenger and driver's side, is where you're going to find an emergency warning light, brake light, turn signal, and also reverse lights. Up from that location, you'll find 2 switches. We'll go over those in just a moment. Moving upward from that, you'll find your license plate holder and also rear-facing scene lights. And within that same vicinity, you'll find a rear-facing emergency warning light, and then all the way on the top, an additional warning light. You also have a discharge at the very rear, 2.5 inch, and also a backup camera. I do have some close-ups of those items. Let's first start back with the switches. This is the suspension dump and also the rear scene lights. Moving just to the right of this location, you'll find that 2.5 inch discharge. You'll also find some warning labels and some placards regarding entanglement and pressure hazard. And then you'll also find your reverse camera or backup camera, and also some warning labels here. As we move to the center compartment roll-up door, you'll find an adjustable tray at the very bottom section that pulls outward. And then also you'll find, you can see here a close-up of the shoreline outlet, and then also your ventilation system with the holes in that section for airflow. As we move up on top of the vehicle in the hose bed area, you'll find you have a split hose bed, indicating that the dunnage area is separate from the actual hose bed. Just a couple more close-ups here of the hose bed area. Let's move now toward the dunnage area of the vehicle. This is going to be where your foam fill location is for top fill for foam tank A, and also a warning label here indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of failure. This is your water tank top fill location. As we look now to the dunnage area, as you can see in the image here, you do have some diamond area. Those are stepping locations. In that arrow location, this is indicating the foam hydraulic oil reservoir fill location. Just down in the lower portion, this is for your Husky 3 foam system. As we move to the center, you'll find your master stream device. Moving to the front section of the cab, you will find these warning labels indicating a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these warning labels here, because there is the possibility the surface may be slippery. Let's move around now to the body of the passenger side, just a general view here, but let's go ahead and start with the body in the left compartment on the image. At the very base, you'll find a pull-out tray. The release mechanism is on the right. LED lighting, adjustable shelving, ventilation with inside, and also adjustable shelves. I think I may have mentioned that. At the very top section, a good identifier here of that ventilation system. As we move to the upper left, you'll find that access here for when plugged into shore power. Once again, this outlet will be active. Let's move just over the rear axle, where you're going to find Scba bottle storage for 2 on the left-hand side and an oxygen bottle, and then 3 on the right-hand side, Scba with retaining straps. Directly over the axle, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light, also a tool board. D-handle gets access inside. On the hinge side, there is a release mechanism to restore it back to its original position. Upper corner, you'll find your shoreline outlet, once again 20 amp outlet. And then I would like to point out this indicating here extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move to the next compartment forward, we'll find adjustable shelving and also 2 Scba mounts. In addition, with the upper portion has that shore power outlet. Let's move now to the mid pump area. First, at the very top section, you'll find 2 pan doors that open, gaining access in the very top compartment. And you'll also find the access point for your backboard storage location. As we move downward from this location, you'll find a double pan door that opens. This will gain access into your hydraulic reservoir fill location. You can see here the use for the oil is also located on the placard. Your vehicle is equipped with a warm water rinse. There is an instruction placard located just above the switch panel. You'll also find on the left-hand side an indication for switches for the types of heating you'd like to use, either 12 volt or 120. And then to the right, you'll find a water tank level indicator. You have warm water tank full, all the way down to water heater in the off position. We do have, once again, a warning label here regarding entanglement hazards. We're just beneath where those cross lays are located, and that's why we have those. We also have the number 2 cross lay, water and foam capable. And then we also have a equipment powered rack. We do have a danger information sticker here because of that equipment rack and the movement of that rack. There's instructions here to raise and then also to lower. In the upper corner, you'll find the master indicating on and off with a green light indicator, and then also a lift up or down switch. It is a dead person switch indicating that once it is released, it will stop in position. As we move to the pan door, you'll also find the settings location for your Acron relief valve. As we move further along, you'll find the green large passenger side discharge, and then also the number 2 2.5 inch passenger side discharge, along with your cab lift. We do have instructions here on the cab lift to raise and also to lower. As we move down, you'll find your warm water rinse outlet, and then also the inlet and drain. As we move to the right, you'll find your passenger side auxiliary inlet. That's a 2.5 inch, and then all the color-coded discharge drains. As we move down into the running board area, you'll find hose storage location. As we move now to the equipment rack, you'll find a 24-foot extension ladder, a 14-foot roof, and the very top section, you'll find a 10-foot folding, and then also pike poles. As we look underneath in the rear axles is where you'll find your tire chains. These are controlled from within inside the cab. Let's move now around to the passenger side cab area. Same configuration and layout as we had earlier on the driver's side. Let's go ahead and go inside the driver's seat area. First, let's start with the door panel itself, where you'll find all of our safety and warning information placard. I'd also like to point out about the right ankle of the operator is where you'll find this, manufactured by Pierce for East Pierce Fire Department. You'll find the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for the components, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floorboard, we'll find the air horn foot pedal. Just to the right of it, you'll find the mechanical siren, brake treadle, and accelerator. Let's move to about the left knee of the operator, where you'll find the master battery switch. It is the silver quarter turn switch. To the right, you'll find a tech module, and then also the engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port, which is the green module. As we move down, you'll find your ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. To the right of that, you'll find the display port. Let's move up from this location where you'll find your pump shift. We have instructions here from road to pump, and then also from pump to road. For pump operations, when exiting the cab, you'll need to ensure the parking brake is set, and also that you have your pump engaged and OK to pump 2 green indicators before exiting the cab. On the opposite side of the steering column is where you'll find your fuel primer. Let's move from this location. Just to the right of that fuel primer is where you'll find your flat mirror and convex mirror control. Back to the center dash area, we'll find on the left-hand side of the dash, A pillar is where you're going to find the ignition and start switch. To the right, you'll find an EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master. Turns on and off all of your emergency lights. To the right, you'll find your headlights. And then further to the right, you'll find a panel switch allowing you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. As we start with the dash, you'll find on the left the transmission, oil, DEF, and water temperature. On the right, you'll find volts, fuel, front and rear air, a tachometer and speedometer directly in the center. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of the steering columns where you'll find the OK to engage the high idle switch and indicator. Moving to the very top in the center of this image is where you'll find your Pierce command zone. Tremendous amount of information at your fingertips. See your owner's manual for more. As we move down, we've got a set of rocker switches, and we'll go over those in a moment. The yellow diamond is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. And to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with an indication to pump in drive. Let's go back up to the top to the command zone. All of your functions and identifications can be run through this module. Please see your owner's manual for more details. To the right, you'll find your windshield wiper controls and push to apply windshield wiper fluid. We have the engine brake on and off, engine brake settings for low, medium, and high, off-road traction, suspension dump from within inside the cab, tire change, which is a protected switch, and also your mirror heat switch. As we move just to the right of this is where we're going to find your climate control for defrost and heat, and also air conditioning, a caution indicator for slippery surfaces, engage or disengage your retarder. As we look overhead above the driver position, let's start with this yellow plaque here. Your height, 9 feet 8 inches, length 31 feet 11.75 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 43,500 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle, please update this placard. Let's move just to the right over the driver's head is where we're going to find the emergency master, opticom switch, clear master, perimeter lights, load manager, and momentary opticom. When any of these switches have been engaged, you'll find the green indicator light will illuminate. Let's move just to the right of this switch location where we'll find an additional switch location. These are primarily going to be your scene lights. We have a front floodlight, driver's side cab body scene light, a passenger side cab body scene light, rear scene light, electronic siren, and also your siren brake for your mechanical siren. Moving just to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor located at the rear of the apparatus. As we move further to the right on the same plane, you'll find a digital readout for your speedometer. Moving just to the right, you'll find your unit radio just beneath the speedometer. And as we look up under the dash area, visible from the front area and also the rear, you'll find this flashing light indicating do not move your apparatus. You have a compartment door open or ajar. As we move to the exterior, you'll find directly behind the passenger and driver's seat additional exterior access. As we move around to the rear section of the cab, directly in the center is where you'll find this access panel, which gains access for your daily checks for oil and transmission. As we move back to the seats in the very rear, you'll find your warning labels, 2 seats forward-facing, clean cab. As we move also to the very center in between the 2 seats, you'll find a lower section for gaining access right next to the seats. As we move overhead, you'll find your headset system and also LED lights. Moving forward to this location, your air conditioning in the center, and then also you have additional storage locations on the passenger and driver side. Let's move around to the passenger side officer space. First, affixed to the door panel is where you'll find all of our safety and warning information. As we move just inside the cab is where we're going to find your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. We do have a warning information here regarding mounting of equipment within this area. To the right on the A pillar is where you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. As we move just to the left, you'll find your siren brake, mechanical siren, electronic siren, and air horn switches. Also, just in front of this location, you'll find 12-volt access via, on the left, USB style, and then on the very far right, you'll find cigarette or round barrel style. Let's go ahead and look overhead in the seat area. First, you'll find push on and off red and white lights at all seating positions. Then you'll also find directly in the front your fire comm system underneath for your wireless system, and also your electronic siren and PA system. To the right, you'll find a AM, FM, Bluetooth, Sirius XM weather band radio. As we move just to the right, you'll find a set of switches for front flood, driver's side, passenger side, cab body scene lights, and also rear scene lights. Moving directly behind the officer's position is where you'll find your FireComm remote system for increasing volume control. Congratulations, East Pierce Fire and Rescue, Washington, on your new Pierce Fire Apparatus, Engine 111 and Engine 112. Job number 34562. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.